101, which became third Korean group to sell a million copies with their debut album. IZ*ONE, a group that always has been a chart breaker and hugely loved in both Korea and Japan. X1, who holds the record of fastest boy group debut music video to reach 100 million views on YouTube. And then there comes Kep1er, who barely makes any headlines. But why is that? Why 101 IZ*ONE was so successful but Kep1er is not? After connecting all the dots, we traced the reason behind their failure lied even before the show started airing.
The producers of a famous audition show have been arrested for alleged vote rigging
because of the voting manipulation controversy.
The scandal has caused public outrage because it was the viewers who were supposed to choose the winner of the audition.
Although IZ*ONE and X1 were loved by public, the viewer noticed a suspicion pattern in the final voting. Soon a police investigation was conducted and indeed there was some shady voting manipulation going on. Because of that, the trust of public was shaken and the fan value Produce had was gone. If you think why Produce groups were getting more and more popular, it is because of the fan value they earned with IOI and 101. Their name had a power, but now their name brings the voting manipulation scandal and all the negative things. That's why they exchanged their show name to Girls Planet and ensure audience the voting would be conducted and overseen by a third person. So because of the new name, it doesn't hold any ban value, and despite ensuring there will not be any voting manipulation, most people couldn't gain the task. Because of that, where Produce X101 had 2.3% of average audience share, Girls Planet's average audience share dropped drastically to 0.73%. Even a few people who watched the show wasn't happy with it either. As they couldn't manipulate the voting by themselves, they try to manipulate viewers voting through edits. Trainees who they want to be in debut lineup, they gave them so much screen time and a hero arc. Oppositely, trainees who they don't want, either they got little to no screen time or evil editing. Most of the time, Chinese trainees were their main target of evil edits. Like that wasn't bad enough, when the final lineup was announced, it shocked everyone. Contestants like Kawaguchi Yurina, Chai Bing, Suruchi, who have always been at top, couldn't debut, and Xiaoting, who always been in top 2, barely placed 9th. Although there was a logical explanation behind that, people were so mad and accused this lineup was also rigged. As most survey show fans are solo stands, this shocking lineup affected the group as a whole. But as I said, there was a logical explanation behind this lineup, and this all goes to their dumb voting system. I also read about their illogical voting system several times on my channel. At first, they let you vote for 9 contestants, but more the show progresses, it decreases, and in the last round, you can just vote for 1 contestant. That's why if there is someone who liked by all but they are their second pick, they don't make in the final lineup. Girls Planet took this one step further. At the beginning, all the contestants were divided into 3 different cells, and one cell contained 1 Korean, 1 Japanese and 1 Chinese trainees, and people could vote for 3 cells. Later they changed this, and then people had to vote for 3 from each country. But they changed that method too, and later people could vote for anyone they want regardless of the country. Because of that, it created confusion and people had expectation the debut group would contain 3 Korean, 3 Japanese and 3 Chinese contestants. Obviously, which wasn't the case. But the voting issue didn't end here. The final result contained 50% of Korean vote and 50% of global vote, which means combining all the countries' vote. Plus, final live vote was counted twice. Now, if we consider an average Chinese, the only way they could watch it live is if they have a cable TV and Mnet channel is there. Otherwise, they had to catch up one day after the actual airing on iQIYI. So how do you expect them to take part in voting? Most of the viewership comes from Philippines and their YouTube live stream doesn't work there. So it is safe to say the Koreans had the most power in the final, and naturally Korean will vote for a Korean. That's why we got this lineup with 7 Koreans. But easily they could have turned around everything if their music was good. Most people believe the reason IZ*ONE was so successful cause they had a specific concept and all the members also suit that concept. But when it comes to Kep1er, Xiaoting and Taeyeon fit sexy concept, Yeso, Eugene and Hye fits cute concept, Cheon fits elegant and dreamy concept, Youngun and Hikaru fits girl crush concept, and I think only Mashiro fits all sort of concept, and Yujin too, as she was doing all sort of concept at her time with CLC. But rather taking one of these concepts, they decided to do something different, which you can say was mixed of everything, but it seems nothing. Some people say it was a space concept which heavily goes with their name, but I rather like to define this as a dance practice. After having a mediocre debut and a disappointing album which has only one original B-side, they did unexpectedly well in charts, and the reason behind that is the hype they got from the show. But most of them fell off after their mediocre debut. And if that wasn't bad enough, Week 1 sent them to Queendom without any live stage experience. The first stage they performed in Queendom was their first time performing in front of a live audience, and they had to compete against groups like WJSN Luna, BBG/Half GFriend, who had been actively promoting for several years. Besides those groups, Kep1er seems like a side filler character. Two Girls Planet Kep1er members made their image like they are so good. They beat 91 contestants to be in Kep1er, but because of Queendom, they lost that value too. But one thing that worked in Kep1er's favor, through Queendom, they established their strong girl crush side with the stage like The Boys and The Girls Can't Turn Me Down. And most people expected their first comeback will follow this tone. But you know Week 1, they released Up. And with Up, they took a total 180 degree from what they were doing from the start. It was more bright and print-crushy, although it was hard to solo, but soon people realized this sound suits Kep1er the most. But at that time, most people moved on from Kep1er and their sales decreased way much from their debut album. And Week 1 thought it was all because the 180 degree they took. That's why they took another 180 degree, completing the full circle and taking the girl crush route with We Fresh, which never felt fresh. And that was the time I fell off. I thought nothing could save them from there. But Week 1 being Week 1, with Giri, they took another 180 degree, or perhaps 90 degree this time, as it stands someone in the middle of Up and We Fresh. But from there, they found a stable path with songs like Galileo and I Do You, which I think was the best release and best suited to them. They should have done something like I Do You from the start, and they should have stuck to it. Nonetheless, it seems like finally they found their sound, something that fits them. Oh, I guess I spoke too early. However, that's all about their downfall. But what about their future, as their contract will expire soon? Will they disband or they will renew their contract? To get to know, watch this video next and click that glowing subscribe button. I will see you all there. Until then, have an awesome life.